Namaste. Oscar Pujol is a renowned Sanskrit scholar, a practicing Hindu, and his day job is as a diplomat for Spain. He was in Delhi, now he's in various other, in Morocco, I believe.
Morocco.
So
yes.
welcome, and we're going to have some interesting conversation.
Thank you very much.
So I met you in 2011 when my book Being Different was being launched.
Right.
And one of the launch events was in BHU in Banaras, and you were part of that launch. And we went together. Do you recall?
Yeah, that was, I think, January 2011.
Well, yeah, that's a good memory.
As you know, Rajiv, BHU is my alma mater. I studied Sanskrit there. I did my BA, MA, and my PhD in Banaras Hindu University.
So that was 8 years ago. We met. So tell us your journey as a Hindu and your journey as a Sanskrit scholar, and then we'll talk about your next work.
Well, I mean, you won't believe me, Rajiv, but I went to India quite accidentally, following a woman, which now my wife, after 40 years. She was very attracted. I didn't have a special interest in India. I went there and I was fascinated. It was by reading.
So she went because she wanted to go to India, and you went because you wanted to go with her.
That's it.
Okay.
So that's
okay.
it. Then, while staying in India, I came across an English translation of the Bhagavad Gita, and while reading the English translation, actually, there was one shloka which really turned me upside down. Which is evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati hayaha agayurindriya ramo moham partha sajivati, which basically means, there is a wheel of life, and this wheel is turning around, If you don't turn according to this wheel of life, you live a life, dedicated to sensual pleasure. You live a life which is not useful and which is in vain. At that time I was very young. I was 19 years old. I didn't still know which way to go in my life, and suddenly I realized that I was not turning with the wheel of life, and I had to turn in a wheel of life. And for me, turning into the wheel of life was getting into the academia, getting into intellectual studies, and specifically learning Sanskrit well and go deeper into that marvelous book which is Bhagavad Gita. So
you learned Sanskrit in Varanasi?
I first had 2 years in Spain.
Okay.
Almost I'm self-taught, with a wonderful book that I will recommend, and anybody who wants to learn Sanskrit without having to go every week to the Pandit, is this Sanskrit by Michael Colson. It's a wonderful book, if you really want to have Sanskrit, you can learn a lot. So I had 2 years of Sanskrit, then I went to BHU, and I spent 60 years there. 16 years? Yeah. I did my BA, my MA, my PhD in Sanskrit Grammar. And then when did you become a diplomat with Spain? Well, I mean, I could even say I'm a pseudo-diplomat, in the sense that actually I am a director of the Instituto Cervantes. I was sent from, after Banaras, I went back to Spain. I began to work in Casa Asia House, which was a new institution created by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for disseminating knowledge of Asia, including India, of course. And then after that, they sent me to Delhi to open the first Instituto Cervantes in India. Right. Which, by the way, I should say, is the Instituto Cervantes that has the most students in the world. So after that, I remained in the Instituto Cervantes. I went to Brazil, and now I am in Morocco. Wonderful. So what is your next book going to be? Well, my next is going to be the Spanish Sanskrit Dictionary, Sanskrit-Spanish Dictionary, which has more than 64,000 words, and it's a huge volume, and it has original research. Of course, it's based on previous dictionaries. One has to take into account previous work, but there is a lot of original things there. So I have a question on that. One thing interesting that the dictionary has, it has two kinds of etymologies, my dictionary. One, according to Paninian traditional Indian etymology, and another one according to Western scholarship. And it's very good because there is a dialogue according to what comparative philology has to say about Sanskrit and what Panini said in its own time.
So one of the important ideas I have been working on for a long time, and there's a large chapter in the book being different, is called Sanskrit non-translatables, which means certain words of Sanskrit cannot be translated. Like itihas, you cannot say it's myth, and you cannot say it's exactly history. And Atman is not the same as soul.
No, of course.
So there's a large number of these. And I'm
Dharma.
I'm doing a series with Sanskrit scholars. I've been videotaping conversations on this. We take one topic, one word, and we talk about it, how it has been translated and why it's wrong, what is wrong with about that translation, and why the original word does not have an English equivalent, and maybe not a Spanish equivalent. So what is your thought on Sanskrit non-translatables?
Why?
Because when you're writing a dictionary, that is a fundamental question.
Well, first thing I have to say, that all languages have non-translatable.
Every language has some non-translatable words.
Then you're right. You take a word like dharma, which is a complex one. No? You see, my dictionary, for instance, but dharma has many meanings in Sanskrit, not a single one.
Correct.
From law to quality and so many things. So the good thing about a dictionary that you don't have to confine yourself to a single equivalent. You can put a string and you can put different contexts what the word dharma means. In the end, and I have done that with my dictionary, you can also put the Indian word. Dharma is dharma, you see? And then you go on, elaborating and trying. You see, when you do a translation, you must be a little bit optimist in the sense that somehow I must convey that to the people that are going to read. And there are ways, even if no translation is perfect, there are ways of doing that.
Yeah, but see, one of the problems of a dictionary is that then when I'm writing something in Spanish, I'm going to take your dictionary, I'm a Spanish scholar, I want to understand some Indian text and I don't know Sanskrit or so. I take your dictionary and I use when I come across a Sanskrit word, I just substitute the Spanish and I'm done. So then the readers there's a reductionism. There's a reductionism, that very complex ecosystem, that one word is an ecosystem and it's been destroyed.
Yeah, but another thing that I have done in my dictionary, first, as I was saying, you get dharma, but you contextualize that.
Yes.
The meaning of the word dharma, say in the Yoga Sutras, is very different from the Manava Shastra.
Right.
And then you can indicate that by putting labels, by saying dharma means that in the Yoga Sutra, dharma means that in the Dharma Shastra, dharma means that in Mimamsa, which has also differentiate. Then my dictionary also has articles, right? It has brackets, and you have a long explanation giving, nuances to the work, because I have tried to make this dictionary especially useful for philosophy.
Yeah, so that for philosophy it's even more important that some words which are non-translatable. So my strategy is that for people in English, and the same would apply to Spanish, if you are English speaking, fantastic, but certain words you introduce those original words into the English language. You introduce dharma and make it part of the English language. You bring in itihas, you bring in atma.
Well, there is a limit to that, of course.
But why not? But there's so many German words that are brought in. There's so many Spanish words. So if European languages can respect a French word has no equivalent, let's just bring it in.
But we are doing that. You go now to the dictionary of the Royal Academy of Spain, which is the institution that takes care of the Spanish language, and you will find words like karma was not there, it is there. Right? Mantra was not there, it is there. Devanagari was not there, and it is there.
But I hope
so we are with a very simple definition, of course.
That's the problem.
That you can expand, you can.
So what I would like is, if in the dictionary there's a way to highlight or asterisk those words where you feel, in spite of your best effort to translate them and give the Spanish meaning, you would recommend that these words should be used as is in the Spanish philosophy.
Yeah, we do that.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be, to me, it would make me very happy, because this is part
I don't have here it, but you see in the entry dharma is given again. You know?
Yeah.
Alongside with a number of Spanish
But if in a 4-word preface you say that some of these words are such that there is really no equivalent. So even though I've done my best to give you the idea, the point is the best advice I can give to a Spanish writer is use the word and enrich the Spanish language. Enrich the Spanish language. Now, another book you're working on is Yoga Sutra.
Yoga Sutra, right.
You want to do the translation in that. Now you're doing it. There are many words in Yoga Sutra which are specific to the whole yoga tradition, which also don't have at least an English equivalent.
Of course.
And they should be used as it is. What do you think of that?
Again, here, I think the duty of the translator, is try to translate everything. I don't know, you don't agree with me.
No, I don't agree with that.
But I think, it's to try, to search for that equivalent, Because otherwise, okay, you learn Sanskrit and you read everything in the original, which is what I did when I wanted to know.
No, but I think you can translate the Dharma, the Yoga Sutra very nicely into Sanskrit, into Spanish, and take about 20, 30 words and keep them as they are, and just like the person is going to learn asana, they can learn that much Sanskrit. That way you are also teaching them a little bit of Sanskrit. So it's teaching them 20 words.
The good thing about right, I already published this translation along with a commentary in Spanish. The good thing is that you can always elaborate on those meanings on the commentary, you see. It's not just a plain translation when there is no reference to in which context the word is used. No? So you can say, okay, that means that, and elaborate on it and give more or less, an approximation. But translation has to be possible.
So what is your approximation for samadhi?
Contemplación.
I don't agree.
Well, I may not agree.
But I'll tell you, contemplation. But wait a second. Contemplation is, my mind is not in samadhi. I'm contemplating. The average reader, American reader, thinks I'm thinking about something. I have content and it's discursive, and I'm logically reasoning and thinking. But samadhi is supposed to get you out of all that. So samadhi is a state of mind where contemplation ceases.
But you're forgetting one thing.
Okay.
There is a strong mystic tradition in Spain. And they use the word contemplación, San Juan de la Cruz, which I am working on that, for a non-discursive meditation.
Yes.
And you have that there.
No, there is something that...
in Spanish you have more than 10 different words to describe the state of samadhi. From contemplación, vuelo, arrobamiento, because we have a very rich tradition of mystical writings, especially in Santa Teresa de Jesús, San Juan de la Cruz, even... So you go there and see that vocabulary. And right now, today, I should have been in Avila giving a talk on La Noche Oscura, the Dark Night, and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. I wrote the article recently, comparing both systems and what they have in common, what they do not have in common. Of course, the contexts are very different. But sorry to say that, but don't be so thinking that other religious traditions have no contemplated and have no thought about non-discursive states of mind, because are there.
Okay, so that brings me to another topic. My other topic is I also problematize something I call digestion.
Okay.
Digestion means a colonizer digests what he colonizes.
That's true.
Okay, so he digests it and he makes it his own, and he domesticates it. What will fit, he puts it in. What doesn't fit, he rejects it. Or he distorts it to make it fit. So civilizations have been digested.
It happens all the time.
Rome digested Greece, and then Rome also digested Judeo-Christianity, and that became Jesus' teachings. They digested Jesus' teaching, and that became Christianity. So Jesus' ideas, Judaism, and Greek thought merged into Roman stuff, become Christianity. There's a digestion. So when I talk about a problem of digestion of Indian thought into European culture, it's not without precedence within Europe. A lot of pagan stuff, what they call pagan, is actually digested.
And the Rosary, there's a lot of Buddhist influence.
Lot of Buddhism.
Even the monastic traditions, which are...
So now what has
been... Nice. That means, as long as you don't have relation of oppressive relations,
but here's
denial relations.
No, but here's the problem.
And you have that.
You have that. So for the last 20, 30 years, I am working on Western digestion of meditation and yoga, turning it into Christian yoga, and saying Jesus was teaching yoga. And so now the church is first really fighting against yoga, and then while one group is fighting against yoga, another group is digesting it quietly, and trying to negotiate with this first group, saying, no, we are making it more and more Christian, we are changing the history, it will no longer be in that original Indian history, we'll say that Jesus did it, and Augustine did it, and this, then, John did it, all these kind of, the cloud of unknowing, all these kind of texts we'll bring up, and we will try to digest all this whole yoga meditation tradition. I have a problem with that. I have a problem because while the Christian Europeans are strengthening their tradition by digesting whatever they can from somewhere else, it plays into the hands of evangelists who basically take this and now they're teaching Christian yoga in India. They're going to, because they have a lot of more money, they're starting up Christian yoga academies, and Bharatnatyam is also become digested into Christnatyam. So the dance is also that way. So this is a form of colonization. So when you say that you will find equivalent yoga, equivalent Christian mystics, but I'll tell you something.
They're different.
Those Christian mystics had serious issues with the church.
Some of them.
Some of them were persecuted by the church.
You're right. Some of them.
Another thing is that the Christian mystics, did not have a lineage. So one random guy comes from nowhere, it supposedly comes from nowhere, and he has this, and he's persecuted typically by the church, and then he disappears, he doesn't have any future. Nobody. Now you cannot take scattered, fragmented, one here, one there, and compare it with a whole tradition with so much lineage. How can you say it's the equivalent? How can you say it's equivalent?
Well, I mean, here I think I am because the subject and the subject are similar, and there are equivalences. Even, I mean, a stand Christian maybe will say, oh, this has nothing to do with yoga, and he will deride yoga because because we are Christians, we have our dogma, we have nothing to do with this,
Protestants denied more.
Yeah, deny more, and staunch Catholics too.
Yeah.
The way we are talking now, I mean, you have this university, Mystic University in Avila, for instance, which was the cradle of Spanish mysticism. And now they do all these seminars where they invite Buddhists, they invite Muslims, they invite all kind of people. Now, this, 50 years ago, was unthinkable.
I know.
Because they are pagans, they are heathens. But, I mean, look, I am not going to here to defend any against the other, but I think that mutual influences are there, it's normal.
So you also must be well familiar with Ramon Panikkar.
Well, yes, of course.
Okay.
He helped me a lot, actually.
He helped you a lot, yeah.
He wrote the introduction to I had already...
So now Panikkar is a very interesting Catholic theologian, one of the most important in the last 50 years.
And very clever and
very clever,
man, and
very
intelligent.
intelligent.
A lot of acumen. You read his works?
Yeah, he wrote on Vedas. He wrote on Christianity. He wrote so much.
No Christ of Hinduism, which is putting Hinduism into scholastic terminology.
So he was also a digester, in some sense, because he came up with this idea that Christ is the fulfillment of the Vedas. He had an idea, Christ is the fulfillment of the Vedas, which means Vedas are absolutely valid. We should not dismiss them and make fun of them and all that. Vedas are absolutely valid, and Christ came actually to fulfill the Vedas. So it's like Christianity is like Vedas 2.0.
I understand what you mean.
So the message...
It gives the authority.
So the message to the Hindus is, look, you are in 1.0. We can convert you to become 2.0. It's a very beautiful, generous, nice way to convert people. But the agenda is still the same. He may not have had that agenda. He actually was against conversion.
I agree with you.
He was against conversion, but his work is become used.
I don't like, when I go to India and I see Jesus sitting in the lotus position.
Right.
This I don't like at all.
Right.
Because this is a misrepresentation of Christianity.
And Mary is wearing a bindi and a sari, and she is doing all kind of stuff.
So this is a betrayal also of the Christian tradition.
But this is called inculturation. It's a church strategy. Church has a conscious step.
Of course.
So this cleverness of the church to do all these things, don't you think that a scholar like you who's so equipped, so well versed, and you're a practicing Hindu, you're saying, don't you think that you should also raise a voice against it?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Because my concern lies elsewhere. And I think that it's...
Aren't you concerned about social problems? This is a social problem.
Yeah, of
That
course.
they're creating they're disrupting the continuity. You're a Hindu and they're disrupting the continuity of Hinduism among the natives by bringing in all these ideas that there is this Christian yoga and there's Jesus.
You know what I think? It really disrupts the continuity of Hinduism more than that. I was talking about that. I will talk about that in India, you know, pandits are completely neglected. This, I think, is very serious, and this I will fight and I will raise the voice against.
So there's multiple problems.
Because you know, first, I am not a practicing Christian. I don't know really, you know, what. So I share. Of course, I am worried about social problems, no, and I am much worried about how, you know, such. I mean, we were talking about that just when you came. They were saying, we need to have an Hindu curriculum, etc., etc. We have Hindu scholars. I say, you have Hindu scholars. You've been neglecting them.
Yeah, no.
That's very important.
No. What you're saying is that there is another problem in India.
Yeah.
There's another problem in India because the pandits are neglected, not educated. And
you know.
So what I would say is there are multiple problems.
There are multiple
So when I discuss and focus on the problems of Europeans who are digesting Hindu thought, making it Christian friendly and feeding the evangelists and missionaries, you cannot avoid that by saying there is another problem facing.
No, good.
You know,
good.
it's like you have one disease, you also another disease and another disease. So the doctor has to diagnose all of them.
Okay.
Right.
That's good.
So right, it is okay that the pandits need help.
But you know, I think sincerely, no, church, you know, in a Catholic country like Spain are completely empty.
Yes, but in India they are aggressively expanding. That's because
I will speak against evangelists and that's okay. That's okay.
You will do that,
but I cannot speak against, you know, making comparisons between San Juan de la Cruz and
no.
I will never do that.
No, I'm saying,
because
you will go public and talk against evangelism because it is not honest Christianity. It is not honest.
I have no problem with that.
You have no problem with that.
I have no problem with that.
Thank you. I think this is a good thing. We want him to speak against evangelism as a good person of Spain who knows about the mystic tradition, who's a practicing Hindu, he says, who knows Sanskrit, who can translate Sanskrit texts into Spanish, but do it in a way that it is not going to get digested and feed the evangelist agenda.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Okay. Fine.
You agree with that?
Fine.
Good. So tell me,
No, I mean, it's also, I mean, for me it's difficult also speaking against, okay?
Why? But you, as a scholar, you can speak against.
Yeah, of course. But, you know, I mean,
as a diplomat, they don't require that you have to spread Christianity. Right?
No, I like very much this no, that's true. I mean, if there is something that I don't like, I will say clearly. I avoid politics in the sense that because I don't understand them, I tell you frankly. I can understand, you know, Sanskrit Grammar, I can understand Yoga Sutras, but politics is a subject that I like to see.
But you can't run away from it. The thing
I
is,
don't understand it.
See, but the thing is
because
that
I see there are a lot of emotional issues, lot of identity issues, be it, you know.
But authenticity issues.
Yeah, of course.
Issues of authenticity.
You know what is the biggest for me example of appropriation, and I always speak. I mean, you have to speak about what you feel, you know.
Right.
Evangelists, you know, I don't know where they are.
Right.
They are very.
Okay. So what's the biggest example of appropriation?
Is for instance Sanskrit Grammar.
Of course.
Sanskrit Grammar, you know, Europeans knew nothing about grammar.
Yes.
And European scholars didn't know the difference between phonetics, for instance,
right.
short and sonant. They didn't know anything. They didn't know what was a lexema, what was a morpheme. They didn't know that till they came to India.
Right.
Modern linguistics owes its existence to the discovery of Sanskrit.
That is correct.
Now you go to a university in the West, or you go to the schools, and you will see how they don't know that this was an original Indian science.
Yes, and so this.
Then I speak against that.
Yes,
because I feel that, because I studied that, and I know I have all the facts, and I know I am on solid ground. So about evangelists, I am not, because I don't know them.
Okay, so good. How about helping? How about writing the Sanskrit origins and Sanskrit influences on the origin of modern linguistics in Europe?
Wow, that's that.
Would you like to do that? That would be a fantastic project.
Well,
and your PhD is in Sanskrit Grammar.
Sanskrit
You know about European thought. You are in the crossroads of the two. Why don't you do that? Infinity Foundation will sponsor a project on the Sanskrit influence, the history of in modern linguistics in Europe, and how it is because of the study of Sanskrit, which is a well-known fact, but nobody's written a book on it.
Yeah, I would love to do that, certainly.
So that's a very constructive thing.
And I advise you to read one Western scholar that has done a lot of work on that.
Okay.
And he was afraid of Chomsky too.
Okay.
Chomsky said, there was no generative grammar before me except for Panini. He said that. He's very honest.
So who's the Western scholar?
Fritz Stahl.
Oh, Fritz Stahl, I have
you read his small articles on the knowledge of grammar in the West
Fritz Stahl.
and in
yes, Fritz
he's
Stahl.
Done a wonderful.
He died unfortunately several years ago, but he was a good scholar, also on mathematics. He did a lot of on mathematics. But I think a more mainstream book.
Let's do that.
100 to 150 pages kind of a book, small book, on what are the major milestones, who were the European linguists, what they did, they went to India, what they did, they came back, they did this, that. I think that'll be a very interesting book. Don't you think so?
I think so.
And that's accurate, that's honest.
I think
it will be good for truth.
I think so.
So let's work on that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here and also hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified. To donate, please click this button.